So you just bought your first freediving buoy or buoy, whichever one you want to refer to it as. I'm going to use buoy. Um, we are going to break down all of the steps to help you get yours set up so that you can have a smooth experience on your first dive session. In this video, I'm using our To Be Free buoy. I am in no way, shape, or form endorsed or affiliated by them. This is just a product that I use and genuinely really recommend. I'm going to break down all the steps from inflation to setting the line and everything in between. Let's dive in. Outside buoy, we have a number of handles. One of the reasons why I do like this one is it has lots more handles on the top. Most will just have 4 handles, but you can see that this one has 8, as well as 8 on the bottom side, which is really, really nice. Underneath here, we have the D-ring. This is where we're going to strap on our octopus, or our pulley system, sorry. Again, I use an octopus pulley, which I'm no way, shape, or form affiliated with. You have a couple of little plastic D-rings here as well for accessories, surface line, and all of that. On this one, you can see I have zip tied a couple of shark clips, as well as carabiners on the top side. So I just do that because it makes this a very versatile buoy if there's ever anything else that I need to clip onto it. Now, going inside the buoy, we have another plastic D-ring here. This is to anchor the rope onto. Sometimes you'll have a metal D-ring on the inside. Over on the side here is the anchor point for the flag. So whenever you're diving in an area with boat traffic, always put up a dive flag. And this buoy did come with a dive flag. A lot of them don't, so you might have to buy that separate. With our buoy setup, you're going to need a bottom plate, surface line for some dive sites. You can do drift dives where you're not attached, but if you're going to be anchoring onto any mooring lines, you're going to need a surface line. You'll also need to get yourself a pulley system. I really like these Octopus extra large. The reason why you want to go for a larger pulley is there's going to be less friction on the line so that it is easier to pull the rope up. And you'll definitely notice a difference when you're pulling it up from depth or in like an absolute worst case scenario. If you're to rescue a diver, having less friction is going to make it a bit easier. Carabiner, this is to attach the octopus pulley onto the buoy. You're also going to need some rope and a stopper. I'm now going to show you how we put all of this together, starting with the rope. This running end here is what's going to be tying onto the bottom weight, and about 1 meter or 2 off of that, you're going to have your stopper. It can be a tennis ball, plastic, or metal plate, doesn't really matter. And then all the way down the other end of the rope is where you're going to start threading it through the pulley system. Grab the rope, and you simply pull it through. And you're going to have to pull this all the way along. I've got a 50-meter rope here, so it's going to take some time. Now that you have the rope pulled all the way to the stopper, let's just talk about the rope really quick. If you haven't bought your rope yet, I highly recommend buying an 8 to 10 millimeter static line. The static rope is a lot better for freediving because it's water resistant. You can buy some rope that's pre-stretched. What this means is because there's a degree of elasticity in the rope, there can be a bit of offset with the markings. So we want to mark our line every 5 meters, and when we're diving deep, we need it to be accurate because it can really throw your diving off. A lot can change in a few meters. If your line isn't pre-stretched and you haven't stretched it, there's still going to be a lot of elasticity causing error in the rope. Once your line is sorted, you're going to need to tie it off to the buoy. In this one here, it is going to be tied to the plastic D-ring. The reason why we tie it off is we need this to actually be anchored in, because if we're letting line go and it's not anchored in, it could literally just run off the buoy altogether. You can do a couple of different knots, figure of 8, or I really like to do a bowline. So I'm going to loop the line over, grab the running end, that's going to go through the D-ring, up the hole, then it's going to come around the base of the tree, and then it comes back in through the loop and you pull it nice and taut. Now that we have the line anchored onto the buoy, we're going to want to stow the line in a nice manner that's not going to get knotted when we're out diving. Daisy chain, what you're going to want to do is create a loop. Once you have that loop, you can grab it with one hand and you're going to pass the rope through to each hand. So I pull, grab. All right. Once again, I'm going to reach the hand over, grab a little bit of line. When we're daisy chaining, we want to make sure that the threads are staying relatively small. If we do much smaller though, it's likely to get tangled. And if we do really big daisy chain, then it's going to be way too loose and then it's going to come unraveled. So just pulling through about 30 centimeters or so at a time. Once you reach the end of the daisy chain, the next step is to tie it off so it doesn't get unthreaded. So you simply do a knot. Doesn't really matter which knot you do to tie it off. Like that. Once you have the line daisy chained neatly, this is where we can attach the octopus to the buoy. I use these stainless steel ones because they don't rough, and I like having the screw. It's one extra safeguard knowing that it can't accidentally get unclipped. With that being done, we can now put the rope through. Now that the buoy is ready to go, we want to make sure that it's fully inflated. I don't have the tire pump today, so I'm going to have to put my lungs to use and orally inflate it. The buoy is now just about ready to go. And the next step, right before you go in the water, is to tie the line up to the bottom weight. The purpose of the bottom weight is to put the line under tension when we're diving. You've got a few different options for the bottom weight. You can use a kettlebell like I do, or you can make your own bottom weight out of cement. The other option is to actually just have some webbing and thread your regular lead weights through it. The standard bottom weight is going to be 8 kilos. But if you're diving deeper, you might want to opt for something a little heavier, going 10 or even 12 kilos, because that's going to give you a lot more tension to pull the line with. 8 kilos can be a little light sometimes. There might be some slack as you're pulling down the line. To tie off the bottom weight, all we have to do is another bowline knot. Once again, you're going to grab the running line, loop it over itself, thread the running line through the kettlebell or the weight that you're using. You're going to let it come up the hole, around the base of the tree, and then back in of itself, pulling the line nice and taut. If ever you're in doubt, you can always do a second knot. You're now in the water, and you're ready to let down the line for your warm-up dives. What you're going to want to do is ensure that the pulley is attached to the D-ring before you take the next step, and then you're going to start threading out some rope. We're just going to picture that the pulley is on the bottom of the buoy. I'm going to pull out as much line as I need. So we've got until the 5 meter marking here. What's going to happen with the line under the tension, the beautiful thing about the daisy chain is you'll see as the tension cools down, the line just runs through itself and the daisy chain unravels on its own. Get the buoy on the water. The line is set to 10 meters. The final step you're going to want to do is tie off the rope to one of the handles. This is just an extra safety measure to make sure additional line doesn't accidentally run out. The knot doesn't matter too much. I will just do a very loose thread up through the D-ring, over itself, and back. And you can see if I pull down, it's not going anywhere. Once you finish your session, what you're going to want to do is you're going to need to pull up the line and also daisy chain it to put it back. So to pull up the line, you're going to put one of your fins to the pulley system, and you're simply going to pull the line like so. Whilst you're doing that, you might have your buddy doing the daisy chain. With the daisy chain, you're simply going to grab the last link of the chain and do the exact same as before. Reaching over, pulling through. You're going to do this all the way to the end. Remembering to tie it off. Stowing away the rest of the line neatly into the buoy. That's how you set up a freediving buoy. I hope you found this video useful. Good luck with your line training. If you have any questions or anything you want to see in future videos, please leave a comment. We have a lot more tutorials coming soon, so please subscribe and see you at the next one.